Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today is Tuesday, December 31st, and this is episode 68 of Azeroth United. It's New Year's Eve, so we're in a celebratory mood. So we're going to go over the year in review for 2024, year in World of Warcraft anyway, discuss the highs and the lows, and talk about just a little bit of a retrospective on the year past and where we were and where we are now and the journey that we all went through together. This has been a big year for World of Warcraft. This is probably the most WoW that's ever happened. We started the World Soul Saga. There's a lot going on. So, we're just going to go through all of it. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear discussed, please email us at azerothunitedpod@gmail.com. Also, if you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That really helps out the distribution. So, if you're so inclined, we'd be very grateful. If you are watching us on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe. That will also really help us out. If you want to do more to help us out, you can consider joining our Patreon. That's patreon.com/AzerothUnited. We have 2 patrons that we'd like to thank today. That is Judge Omni and Stug Life. These are our friend of the show tier patrons, and they contribute their IRL money to help us out. So thank you very much to both of you. And if you're interested in joining, go ahead and check it out. And we'd be very appreciative. All right. Before I get into this retrospective, and there's really not a whole lot of news, so we're just going to jump right into it. We'll do the week in World of Warcraft, but I'll do a very quick rundown of what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft, because for me it was a very, I guess I would say, down week. I did do a lot of stuff, but nothing really important. We didn't raid last week, so there's no progress made on Ansarek. We're still gunning for it. I think we're going to raid tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. So hopefully that comes away with a kill, and then we'll be done for the season, and we can all take our foot off the gas and kind of relax a little bit. So that's it's fun. I really enjoy Nerebar Palace. That's probably one of the best raids that they've done in a long time. I didn't run it this week on any difficulty. Just I didn't have it in me. I mostly did some delves, a couple of dungeons. But honestly, I've been taking a little bit of a break from the WoW grind, as it were. And not that I don't want to be playing WoW, but I've dusted off a couple of other games that maybe have been sitting there for a while. I don't generally go in for new games, partially because my computer just can't run them, and partially because, I like older stuff, things like me that are old. I started playing City Skylines again, and I'll tell you, it's such a change of pace from WoW, because and you're sitting there and you're managing all of the traffic, and where are we going to put the hospital? How are we going to manage to afford a high school? That sort of, it's a very different vibe. I had a lot of fun with that. Really enjoyed it. So, as far as WoW goes, kind of a slow week. I made sure, and so here's one thing that you need to make sure you're doing, or I guess you don't need to, but if you have gotten your gear as high as you could go, you got your Delve gear, you're around about 619. If you are able to upgrade your runed crests to gilded crests, if you just do 3 vault activity, or you fill out 3 vault slots, it could be 4 world activities in a dungeon, or you could run looking for raid, or whatever it is. As long as you have 3 choices in the vault, and you don't pick any of them, you can get the runed crests, and you can convert 3 of those runed crest tokens into 1 gilded crest token. So it's kind of a nice little thing, because that's going to give you 15 gilded crests. If you get 60 of those, that's enough to craft something. So, if you've got some runed crests laying around, you may not have any myth track gear that you can upgrade, but you could craft a 636 item, or a yeah, 636. I don't even know what item level we are now. You could craft a 636 item, and that might be something that you would enjoy. So definitely check that out. I've got my bracers that are 619, so I need to, or what? I think they're 619, but I need to recraft them as 636. So I've got the Gilded Crest for that. So I will be doing that probably this week. So anyway, yeah, like I said, kind of a slow week, very quiet. The guild is it's things are kind of just mellow. We had a little bit of a road bump a couple weeks ago, and now we're just kind of, everybody's cruising. I guess it's the holidays. Nobody wants to upset the boat. But to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure how much farther I'm going to go with the guild if things don't change as far as the guild management and whatnot. It's a little frustrating because I really do like the people in the guild. But, if you're ever in a situation where you're playing a video game and you're not happy with the management of the people that you're playing with, maybe it's time to look for a new group. So that's kind of where I am. So, and it's not I don't like these people. I think they're fine people. We have different management philosophies, and, that's something you have to look for in a guild is, do you have the same philosophy on how to play WoW, or what people should do, or how to interact with the game? That's very important. So, to finding a good guild fit. And I know it's hard. I've talked long about how difficult it is to find people to play with in this game. A game where you're constantly being put into situations where you're playing with other people. Sometimes it's really difficult to find that exactly just right group that you can go, yeah, this is a good group and we're going to do stuff together. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to see. I guess I'll talk to I'll talk to management once we get back to rating and kind of see where things are. So, all right, that's gonna do it there. Oh boy, yeah, I was gonna run an M plus last night, and I was all ready to do. I was like, I'm ready to go. I'm gonna run one before reset, and then I randomly started watching Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and so that's what I did instead of doing M plus. So yeah, there you go. All right, that is enough of that. We do have some little bit of news, and then we'll get into the main topic. So yeah, here we go.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so really there's not any news this week because everybody's on vacation at Blizzard. They're on their winter break, so it's really only the operations team that is there keeping the lights on, as it were. So, yeah, it's been a very, very quiet news week. We've had a few revelations about the data mining in patch 11.1 and things that and we'll talk about all that stuff next week. And then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up was that somebody managed to replicate the corrupted blood plague in Season of Discovery. So, well done, Blizz, I guess. But it's not really news. So we'll go over the week in World of Warcraft, what's coming up this week, and then we'll just get into the retrospective of World of Warcraft in 2024. Okay, so this is the War Within Season 1, Week 17. The Mythic Plus affixes for the week are Xal'atath's Bargain Voidbound, which is the Void Emissary that spawns, and you have to kill it or burn down the shield, and it buffs the enemies. This one's getting redesigned in Season 2, thank goodness, because it's kind of annoying. And then the +4 affix is Fortified. You know it, you love it, you love to see it? Question mark. I don't like Fortified, but it's fine. As far as Voidbound goes, it's you can cleave it if your cleave damage is high enough, but realistically you should just burn it. So I guess it depends on how high of a key you're doing. So your mileage may vary on that. So there's a lot of changes coming in for Mythic Plus affixes in Season 2. But until we know a little bit more concrete information, we'll hold off on that, and we'll get it when it's ready to be discussed. So, all right, the weekend event or the weekly events this week. So a couple things are going on This is the World Quest bonus event this week. So you need to complete 10 World Quests, pick up the quest from Archivist Frithroon in Dornogal, and you'll get 2,500 reputation with the faction of your choice. And you also get reputation gains from World Quests increased by 50%. So if you're trying to get some rep before Season 2, this is the week to do it. Just run those World Quests, and if you do 10, you'll get basically a renown level with whoever you choose. So that's really cool. The PvP brawl is Classic Ashran. Oh, man. Classic Ashran is an open-ended tug-of-war battleground with special events around the zone, including quests and events. Yeah, screw you, Classic Ashran. This is awful. Who thought that this was a good idea? Like, seriously, this is the worst. It was bad in Warlords of Draenor. It was bad after Warlords. It's bad now. It's still bad. All of it's just bad. I hate Ashran. Oh, boy. So, anyway, if you do decide to do it, despite my warning, make sure you pick up the quest Something Different when you zone in to win a PvP brawl, and you will be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. Okay, so the 20th anniversary event is going to continue through this week, and it will end, I believe it's going to end at reset. So if you haven't picked up your whatever items, your tier 2, your mounts, your pets, all of the things that you can buy at the anniversary event, this is your last week to do it. This is it. So if you have been holding off and you're like, oh, I need to grind currency, you might not be able to get everything, but you can get currency by killing the bosses, the cave bosses on Siren Isle. You can get currency by doing the world quest there. There's still ways to get currency. If you haven't gotten any because maybe you weren't playing WoW or whatever, and you're like, oh, I need to get all this right now. Get as much as you can, but it's going to be rough. So yeah, just go check that out. I mean, from doing my normal play loop, I've been able to get pretty much everything that I wanted from the event. I'm going to check again. There might be a couple of pets that I didn't pick up, which whatever. I even got the sword and shield and back piece that they created for that are replicas of the service awards that they give to their employees. So I actually think it looks pretty cool. Some people didn't like it, but I liked it. I thought it was nice. So yeah, definitely go check that out. This is the last week. I don't know if they're going to do the anniversary event the same way next year. We could get just a regular WoW anniversary, and then they'll save this big event thing for the 25th anniversary or something like that. We don't know. Hopefully they've learned their lessons from this one, and it's a little bit better next time. But yeah, this is it. This is the end. All right. And finally, the Feast of Winter Veil will continue through, it says January 5th, but it actually ends at 6 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. So it's essentially January 4th. So again, if you haven't finished, if you haven't gotten your presents, if you haven't done the things that you want to do for the Feast of Winter Veil, get it done by, I guess it's this Sunday. What is that? The 4th is Saturday. So yeah, you've got to get it done by Saturday night, essentially, before you go to bed. So yeah, there you go. That's it. That's what's going on. You know, I want to say something about the anniversary though, real quick. I feel like the WoW anniversary was such a missed opportunity by Blizzard. I really think they could have done something special. What they did wasn't bad necessarily. I don't feel like it was a bad event. I just feel like it was poorly rolled out. The currency change that they made really helped, but yeah, I think a lot of people, once they realized that, oh, there's too much currency for me to get anything in this event, they stop interacting with it. And that's unfortunately something that Blizzard keeps doing. They did it again with Siren Isle, where they released only a few of the citrines, and then people were like, this ring sucks. And then they were like, oh, no, wait, you can get all of them. But so I really hope that Blizzard is able to learn the lessons that they need to from these events and listen to the player base and go, no, give us the things that we want. You don't need to string us along. This isn't but you won't stay subscribed. You have to stop with that mindset. If your game is good, we'll stay subscribed. If you are producing a quality game, we will stay subscribed. If you try to trick us into staying subscribed, that's not going to happen. We're not going to want to do it. So the best thing to do would be to Just make quality content and trust that players are going to play your game. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they're going to go play something else. And that's okay too. Sometimes WoW players don't want to play WoW the entire season. Sometimes they want to play for 2 months and then they want to rest for 3 months, 4 months until the next season starts. There's no reason to force people into playing World of Warcraft. All that does is it creates frustration and resentment towards Blizzard, that Blizzard is trying to scam us for money or, shake us down. And, to be clear, and I'm a big proponent of understanding that, Blizzard is here to make money. They're not here to be our friends. But at the same time, they can do more to improve the experience for the players. So that's all. All right. That's all I have to say about that. The anniversary event was nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing all the things in the pavilion once. I didn't finish the achievement because, quite honestly, I don't really care. Because again, it's like it's not for me. And once it's out there, and it's like if I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't really care, then I'm not going to do it. I did not finish the quest line, the Secrets of Azeroth quest, but apparently the quest giver will still be there after the anniversary event is over. So you'll still be able to turn the different parts of the quest in. But I think if you haven't done the intro quest line, you won't be able to do it. So anyway, I didn't do it, and that's fine. I'll be okay. I don't need the fell cycle. Yeah. Anyway, all right. That's pretty much what's going on this week in WoW. Yeah, it's quiet. It's really quiet. I'm really digging the kind of downtime for the holidays that Blizzard has done, because we've been getting a lot of info, a lot of communication by the devs, a lot of videos, a lot of tweets, different things. There's always something going on. And so now we've had kind of this quiet period. And it's like, oh, we can just kind of chill. Play WoW or play something else. Play City Skylines. Play Path of Exile. Go play Minecraft if you want. Who cares? Go watch TV. Go interact with your family if you do such a thing. Play with your dogs. Go for a walk. There's all sorts of things you can do that don't have to be grinding currency and rep in World of Warcraft. So, all right, that's that's it for the week in WoW. Yeah, we're just gonna jump into the main topic of the week, and I really want to make sure that that we're going into the new year on a good note. So hopefully this is a good one. All right,
It's time for the main topic of the week.
So 2024 is about to conclude. By the time you listen to this, it will have concluded for most people, as I like to upload at midnight on Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So yeah, you'll probably hear this sometime in January, and that's fine. So what I wanted to do is a little bit of a look back on the year 2024 in World of Warcraft. Not 2024 in general, because that's too deep right now for this podcast. I might do, if I ever do a political podcast, that's fine, but I don't need to do that on a WoW podcast. But as far as World of Warcraft goes, this was a huge year. It saw us running so many different versions of the game. It saw us doing things that nobody had even really thought about before. And so we're going to talk about where we were at the beginning of the year and where we have gotten, where we have gone. So let's start off with, here's what we'll do. Actually, you know what? I'm calling an audible right now. We're going to break this up into games. So we'll start with Classic, and we'll go from there. All right, in Classic World of Warcraft, the year started in Wrath of the Lich King. Players were killing Arthas in Icecrown Citadel. Most guilds had killed him heroic 25, but some were still working on that. And January 9th saw the release of Wrath of the Lich King Phase 5, which is the Ruby Sanctum. This will be the final update for Wrath of the Lich King. In a lot of ways, I feel like that was the end of Classic for many players. And while Classic is still vibrant and People are logging on. There's a lot more raid logging going on now than there was back in Wrath of the Lich King. I think players are tuned out for Classic, and anybody who's not intrigued by Mists of Pandaria is probably done with Classic, and they've moved back to the Anniversary Realm. So, but we'll get to that. As far as Cataclysm goes, so April saw the launch of the Cataclysm pre-patch, so that was essentially wiped out the Wrath of the Lich King talent trees, all the class and ability changes, and it also added the Goblins and the Worgen to Classic, which is so weird that this is now a thing again in 2024 after, what was it, 2010 that we got Cataclysm the first time. So 14 years ago, we are now getting Goblins and Worgen again. Cataclysm launched on May 20th, and I would say too much fanfare, but it was kind of, I don't know. It was one of those things that when it happened, and yeah, people were excited about, oh, let's go check out these new raids. And there were some people who didn't play Cataclysm back in the day. So there was some excitement, but it was definitely very muted. It was definitely very restrained. Not like the Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King launches, and certainly not like the 2019 Classic launch. That was on another planet. But so yes, we did get Cataclysm, and yes, people were excited, but it wasn't the same level. And I think we're probably going to see the same thing when we get Mists of Pandaria next year. It'll be exciting, but not that. It's not going to be an event like the last two Classic expansions were. So, yeah, July saw the release of the Rise of the Zandalari update, Phase 2. And this one, I actually really liked this back in original Cataclysm because it gave us something more to do. Players nowadays are a little different, and unless something is giving them gear that they need for an upgrade, then they don't really care. And unfortunately, that's where this falls in. It was a catch-up heroic dungeon update, and the heroic dungeons did not give as good of gear as the raids. So players who are already geared from the raids really didn't have any use for this. And that's unfortunate because I feel like this was a great update. They updated 2 classic raids to make them dungeons. It made them really fun. It updated the lore and the mechanics in really interesting ways. I really liked it. I felt like the original lore of ZG was kind of okay. The original lore of Zul'Aman was great because, you have Zul'Jin, and I think Zul'Jin's one of the greatest villains in Warcraft history. But, so we had Zul'Jin, and we had Hakar as the final bosses originally. And then, they updated the lore, and they made it interesting. But I don't know. I think ultimately, this patch, as far as Classic goes, was a failure. I don't think people really enjoyed it. And because of that, it went from July to October without any updates. And the players did not like that. And this caused people to stop playing Cataclysm Classic in droves. Phase 3, of course, being the launch of the Firelands, which is probably one of the most iconic raids that World of Warcraft has ever had. But if you go from July, or in this case, May, so you go from May to October with no updates for players who are running raids, that's not a good look, not for Classic. I think Firelands probably could have come in the beginning of September, and it would have been a lot better off. But, I'm not running Blizzard, and I'm not running the Classic team, so I can't make those type of determinations. But I think, if you're concerned about player retention in Classic, don't go that long between phase launches, especially with a mediocre Phase 2 that just really didn't excite anyone. So, all right, so that's it for Classic. Where is it going to go in the future? So we've got Phase 4, which is the Dragon Soul patch coming in. Well, okay, hold on. Let's talk about Firelands first. So Firelands launched, and it was a big success. A lot of players came back for Firelands, although not as many as left from the beginning of Cataclysm launch. And it's still going pretty strong. People are getting their legendary. You get the Terragosa staff. Firelands is a great raid. Now, I hate running Firelands on time walking, but that's a different story because nobody knows the mechanics. But yeah, it's we're gonna go from October to March probably for Dragon Soul, and then once Dragon Soul hits, people will run it a couple times and then they'll be done, and then there won't be anything to do in Cataclysm because the 3 dungeons that will launch with Dragon Soul. This is going to be the same situations. People that have Firelands gear aren't going to want to run the dungeons because there's no point. There's no gear for them. I don't know. I feel like Blizzard has kind of... They're just going through the paces with Classic. And I think that's unfortunate because there's a lot of good content in there. If they spaced it out better, if they... You don't have to follow the same release schedule that happened originally. You can change it up. You can mix it up. You can move things around. You can do whatever you want. People have already given up on the no changes, and we are changing everything. So might as well just change some stuff and make it a little more appealing to some players. So, all right, and then we've got Mr. Pandaria on the horizon. So I'm gonna put my bet down. I've already said this, but I'm thinking July of 2025 will be the Mr. Pandaria pre-patch with a launch in August. So that's what I think. Hopefully it does do a little bit better than Cataclysm, but I'm not sure. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if Classic will survive the Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor dip to get back to Legion, because that's really where everyone wants to go. Everyone wants to get to Legion. They want Legion Classic. Are we going to get there? I don't know because if the trend continues downward. So if Mists of Pandaria has fewer people at launch than Cataclysm, and Warlords has fewer people at launch than Mists of Pandaria, where it's going to be pretty low. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, that's Classic, and unfortunately, there's just really not much to say about Classic at this point, other than what we went through just now. In Classic Era, so this is just the existing. Servers that are stuck at level 60, Naxxramas. Really the only thing that we got from that is the hardcore self-found mode in February, which, again, that was something that it's great that they did it, but I don't know that really anybody wanted the way that they released it. So what people really liked about hardcore originally when it was player run was the solo self-found. So you're on your own, you can't interact with anyone, it's just you. And they changed that. So I don't know. I guess it's okay. People played it. But in this month, in November, we had the launch of the 20th anniversary realms, and then this month saw the launch of Phase 1, which was Molten Core and Ixia's Lair. And January 9th, we will get Phase 2, which is Dire Maul, the world bosses, the PvP honor system, and the 2 battlegrounds, Warsong Gulch and Alterac Valley. So the 20th anniversary realms have been a huge success. A lot of people talking about them, a lot of buzz about them. Not a lot of people playing on the anniversary realms. I mean, there are plenty of people playing there, don't get me wrong, but there's one of each type per region of the 3 types of servers. And it's not nothing is going to have the number of players as Classic as far as the Classic. So you've got Cataclysm that has more players than Classic Era, 20th Anniversary, Season of Discovery. Those are all going to be split between the different versions of the Classic Era, essentially. And then most people are playing Cataclysm, although I would suspect that most of those people are probably raid logging. So the 20th Anniversary Realms have been very interesting in terms of Blizzard being willing to make some changes, like dual spec, the new interface for guilds and things like that. The debuff limit. There's been some really interesting things that Blizzard has indicated they're willing to do. I'm curious to see what they do going forward. We'll get to Blackwing Lair and we'll see how they handle the Thunder Fury. Oh boy. We've got the Zul group. Are they gonna pair those together like they did in Season of Discovery, or are we going to get maybe a couple week break in between? You will see how all that goes. But I think the most interesting thing about the 20th anniversary realms is that Blizzard is showing us that they're willing to make Classic fun and not have it be a museum piece. That's what Classic Era is for. Classic Era is there. It's never going to go away. It's just sitting there. If you want to play it, you can. But if you want to start fresh, Blizzard has kind of indicated that this is how they're going to do fresh going forward. And I think it's fantastic. I think this is the way that I want to play Classic from now on, is on this type of realm, the anniversary realm. And whatever they do again in the future, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be anniversary realms again, or if they're going to have something else. But I'm assuming that what we're going to get is we're going to get a fresh server, and then we'll go into Burning Crusade, and then we'll go to Wrath of the Lich King, and then it'll end there, and then we'll start over again. So maybe a year in between, and then we'll start over. So maybe every 5 years we'll just reset Classic. And you know what? That would be kind of cool. I would be down with that. Every 5 years, give us brand new Classic servers. Give it enough time for everyone to be excited by it, and there you go. Now maybe they'll do Classic Plus, and that would be cool too. But I suspect that Classic Plus is probably a year or two away, given that what Blizzard has talked about and kind of what they've indicated. I don't think they're keen on developing for Classic right now. So we'll see, and we'll see how that interacts with the Anniversary Realms and where that goes. So speaking of Classic Plus, so Season of Discovery, it did launch at the end of 2023. We had Phase 2, which was the Gnomeregan phase, so level 40, that released in February. And so this is where the chinks in the armor started to show for Season of Discovery. It wasn't a great situation for people going into Gnomeregan. People didn't like that. It wasn't fun. I mean, it was fun. Running Gnomeregan was fun. Don't get me wrong. But I think it was weird. People really struggled with how to process. Like, going from 1 to 25 was fun, because that's what most people do when they play Classic, is they get up to about 25 and then they're like, yeah, this is too slow for me. Going to 40 was a lot more work. You got your mount, which was cool, but it was a very different situation. And I think Phase 2 and then Phase 3, which launched in April, I think those two both really struggled. And that was probably the lowest point of Season of Discovery, was Phase 3. People just didn't know what to do. They really struggled with how can I have fun in this game when the game itself is trying to be difficult. Song of Temple launched too hard. Blizzard was trying to make Classic engaging and fun, and that's not what players wanted. They want Classic to be simple and easy. Boss fights that are basic. Yes, you can make them interesting, but don't make them complex. Make them interesting. And so, yeah, you lost a lot of people in Phase 2 and in Phase 3, which is a really unfortunate thing. I stopped playing in Phase 3. I didn't have it in me. I was not excited by it anymore. And by the time Phase 4 rolled around in July, I had no interest in going back, because now it's like, well, now I've got to grind to all the way to 60, and I just that was it. So yeah, Season of Discovery, I think it's had some highs and it had some lows. I'm hoping that Blizzard has learned some things from it, maybe how to have a Classic Plus be successful. I think that would be something that I would hope they are discussing right now as we go into Phase 7 and possibly beyond. How do you make Classic Plus something that everybody likes? Because I don't know that you can make it universally amazing for everyone, but I think you can hit more high notes than maybe Season of Discovery did. I don't think that the breaking up the leveling process the way that they did worked. Maybe if you want to do it, maybe you have one stop at level 30. Maybe. I could see doing 25 and 50, maybe, but honestly, one stop, level 30, and you're good. Because level 30 will get you through most of the beginning zones. Think like, going through Darkshore, you go through Ashenvale, Hillsbrad Foothills. There's some really good natural stopping points for most of the races getting to level 30. Humans going to Darkshire. But I don't know. I don't know that I would do that again just because it's so hard to get it right. I think the first time was good because it was new and it was different. It was interesting and people were excited by it. Ooh, I get all this cool gear during the leveling process. But then when you had to do 15 levels and do it again, that wasn't exciting. So I think one time might be good, like a halfway through the leveling process, you gear up and then you push through 60. I could see that. I could see that working. Alternately, I would say get to 40 and then have a raid and then get to 60. That would be the other way to go. So if you've made it to 40, most of the gear getting through like 1 through 30, I'd say, is pretty garbage. So if you can make it that far in garbage gear and then you get to 40, you finished your Scarlet Monastery runs and now you're ready to hit the raid. Yeah, okay, that could be kind of fun. So, but then going forward, I think that one of the problems that Season of Discovery faced was there was way too many spells and abilities. I like that they gave us choices, but there was just way too many. There was too many active abilities. Classic is the combat is slow, and it's intentionally slow. This changed it to the point where it became more complex, and it was unnecessary for it to be that complex. I think if you want to add one spell to each class, that's fine. You can do that. One ability, one attack move, one heal, something like along those lines. Anything else that you add should be passive. So here's my idea for Season of Discovery, and I can't remember if I've talked about this on the podcast before or not, but I think that instead of doing the runes the way that they did, just give us a Mists of Pandaria style talent tree, and as we level up, you get to you can start at level 1 if you want. Level 1, you have a talent. Level 15, level 25, level whatever. Each time you get to that level, you have 3 choices in the talent tree. You pick the choice you want, and they can do it very similarly to how they did the Mists of Pandaria trees that continued through Shadowlands. You go, okay, well, this row is going to be a speed talent or movement ability. This one's going to be a defensive ability. Things like that. You could do that, or you could alternately say, here's your list of spells. We're going to put them in this tree, and here's when you get them, and you can apply them whenever you want. Something that would make a little bit more sense. The runes it was too varied. People didn't understand the abilities and how they worked. There were some abilities that when you read it, you think, oh, this is really good. And then you do some research and you go, wow, apparently this is terrible because it has a random proc per minute cap, or it doesn't do enough damage compared to just, auto attacks or whatever. That's something that I think Blizzard could definitely improve on. Mists of Pandaria style talent tree. Have your talents go 3 choices, and it can vary by spec if you want. I don't think that you necessarily need to do that. I think you could just have 3 choices, and some of them are more spec dependent than others. But I think ultimately, it's a really tricky thing to do to add new abilities to a game like Classic, which was so open ended. Because once you start adding in those types of abilities, then you get more into the specialization choice gameplay, which started in Cataclysm, where you're like, no, you choose your talent specialization, and then you can fill out a tree. That's not what Classic was about. That's not how Classic worked. You just did whatever you wanted. You could go 2020-21 if you, or 2020-11. Yeah, 2020-11 if you wanted to, as for your talents. If you choose, you could do that. You're not going to be very good, but you could do it. So it's about giving players choice and the freedom to make the wrong choice. That being said, don't give us so many wrong choices, because at this point, players don't want that anymore. This isn't 2004 where players are willing to run around with the wrong choice for a year and a half. Players want to know that they're doing it correctly. They want to go read a guide. They want to read Wildhead. They want to read Icy Veins, and say, okay, well, here's the one I should pick, and so I'm going to pick that. And that's it. That's what you do. So I think if you simplify it and make some clear-cut choices, hey, this is for a paladin, say, all right, we're going to give them, Divine Storm and Holy whatever, I don't know, and then Shield of the Righteous, something. It's really clear what you're going to want to choose if you're playing more of a ret style or if you're playing more of a prot style. And you can change those quickly in the interface, just like you could change your runes. So, and that way it's not tied to your gear, which I think that was one of the worst parts of Season of Discovery, was having those things be tied to your gear, and then you'd have different stuff show up on your bars. It was a mess. It was a mess, and it needed to be cleaned up, and hopefully they will clean it up. So, all right. So yeah, Season of Discovery, September saw the release of Phase 5, which is the Blackwing Lair Zul'Gurub launch. This one was, it was decently received, but at this point, I think a lot of people were more just concerned with, well, what are we going to get that's different? What are we going to get that's new? And so, yeah, we're, November saw Phase 6, which is AQ. But sometime in maybe late January, early February, we're probably going to get Phase 7. And Phase 7 is going to have Nax, and it's going to have the new Tyr's Hand dungeon and the new Karzon Crypts dungeon. Or I think it's the Tyr's Hand raid and the Karzon Crypts dungeon. That's what people wanted. And that's when people are saying, is this Classic Plus? That's the type of thing they wanted to have. Here's a new raid. Here's a new dungeon. The stuff that they added wasn't exciting. And the raids that they added were raids that we'd already done as dungeons before. So just adding new stuff to an existing dungeon and calling it a raid, that's not exciting to players. They wanted something new. Even if it's taking an outdoor zone that you've gone to before and had to do quests before, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, there's a raid here now. This is so cool. I liked that. I like the fact that they make the world bosses be instanced. I liked that. That's the type of thing that you need to do in Classic Plus. So hopefully they've learned those lessons. Hopefully the Season of Discovery was not done in vain, and the players will be more accepting of it, because I think Season of Discovery is fantastic, but I think that Blizzard made a few mistakes that were just really too much for the player base to get over. So, all right, that's gonna do Classic. Let's go into Modern WoW.
The World Soul Saga.
Okay, 2024 saw us start the year with Dragonflight. We were in patch 10.2, the Emerald Dream patch, and it was good times. It was the final raid. We were killing Firak. People were chasing their AOTC. I think Dragonflight was a really good expansion that maybe trailed off a little bit more than people wanted to, and I think that Blizzard has definitely learned some ideas about story beat and how to progress that, and it's definitely shown with the War Within, so I think that's a good thing. Okay, so in January we got patch 10.2.5, which was the Seeds of Renewal, so we're gonna rebuilding after the Emerald Dream raid and all of that. That this one was tough for me as a Night Elf main. I've played Night Elves for most of my WoW career, and it's always hard for me when the Night Elves lose. I want the Night Elves to be the best race in WoW. I want them to go and beat up Sylvanas and throw the Forsaken out the window. But, from a storytelling standpoint, I get that you can't have the Night Elves win. They were already OP in the beginning of WoW, and Blizzard has had to nerf them consistently because they were so OP to begin with. So, and I get that. But, it hurts. I feel it. March saw the release of patch 10.2.6 and something new that nobody expected, which was Plunderstorm. So Plunderstorm was a battle royale style game mode that operated very similarly to like a Fortnite, just in WoW context. You didn't have your character, you just played an avatar in the Plunderstorm. It took place in the Arathi Highlands. It was really fun, and I've talked before on both sides of this, where I first started out and I hated it because it was PvP and I thought it was dumb, and then I slowly came around to it and I really grew to like it, and in fact in some ways I grew to really just love it and think this is fantastic for WoW because it's something different. It's something exciting that players can do And if Blizzard could make it even slightly more connected to the existing game, which I think is what they're doing, I think this will be great. I think this will be a great way to keep people engaged during those off times, which is when we're going to get it. We're going to get it at the end of season 1 when things are kind of on a lull and everything's dragging and we're waiting for patch 11.1. And here's Plunderstorm. That's how you keep people engaged in your game. Don't trick us by time gating content. Add something interesting and then we'll stay and then we'll want to play your game. So Plunderstorm came in March. It was very exciting. I really liked Plunderstorm. After it was gone, I really missed it. And that's how I knew that I liked it. I didn't want to like it because it was PvP. And I immediately was like, oh, this is dumb. And then I would go in there and get killed right away. Oh, this is dumb. But I kept doing it. And I said it was because I wanted the loot. But honestly, I didn't even pick most of the loot up. I just wanted to play it because it was fun. So April saw the release of Season 4, which I'm hoping that was the last time we're going to get a Season 4 in a World of Warcraft expansion. Season 4, it started in Shadowlands, where it was a kind of greatest hits of the expansion. We got all 3 raids on a rotating basis that were kind of empowered. In Dragonflight, they were called Awakened raids. And I don't know that anyone really wants that going forward. I think that it's a good idea for a stopgap once or twice, but I think if Blizzard thinks it's going to become a regular thing, I really think that's a mistake. Especially the fact that the dungeon pool was the original 8 Dragonflight dungeons. We had the mega dungeon that was there and people wanted to go get gear from it and they really couldn't. And I felt like it was an unfortunate way to end a really pretty good expansion. I wouldn't call Dragonflight the best expansion that we have ever had, but I would definitely say I'd give it top 5. I would give it a top 5. So, and then May rounded out Dragonflight with the launch of patch 10.2.7, where we continued on the Harbinger quest line, or we started the Harbinger quest line to try and figure out what's going to happen in the War Within. So, that was it for Dragonflight. And Dragonflight ended in a little bit of a whimper, and that's okay. Because overall it was a good expansion. It was a great palate cleanser after Shadowlands. It felt good. It was entertaining. I really liked Dragonflight. I liked the dragons as characters. Yeah, some of the story beats were a little uncomfortable or goofy or whatever. That's fine. Not everything's going to be perfect, but this was good. And that's what we want out of a WoW expansion. I don't need every WoW expansion to be perfect because quite honestly, none of them are. None of them are perfect. Even Legion wasn't perfect. It had so many flaws. Wrath of the Lich King, so many flaws. Burning Crusade, so many flaws. I don't know that we've ever had a perfect WoW expansion. So, did Dragonflight have flaws? Yeah, it did. It did. But it's still one of the best that we've ever had. So, all right. The War Within started ramping up. We got our pre-patch in July, which was way earlier than anyone thought we were going to get it. That was something that a lot of people that I talked to were shocked that we got it so early. I thought we were going to get it in the beginning of September. We ended up getting August 26th with the launch. Blizzard created a little bit of controversy by having the early access launch 4 days before the actual launch. So people called it the actual launch and then the hobo launch on the 26th, or the 1% launch on the 22nd. There were all sorts of memes and jokes about this 4-day early access period. In the end, it didn't really matter. Nobody got any advantage from it. People just wanted to complain. So, I mean, I dare you to go into the War Within now and figure out which player had early access and which one didn't. I dare you, because you won't be able to figure it out. There's no discernible difference between any of these characters. So, did people get into the game early? Yes. Did it kind of break up the launch excitement? Yes. Did it also spread the player base over 2 launch dates? Yes, it did. As a matter of fact, it did do that. So, I don't know. Is Blizzard going to do an early access launch again? Probably. They probably will. Now that we've come away from it and we are nearing the first .1 patch, and I'm looking back on this, yeah, I think we're going to get another early access launch. So, get ready to shell out your money if you didn't spend it all on your Brutosaur, oh, well, we'll get to the Brutosaur in a minute. Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. So War Within launched, Season 1 launched. There was a little bit of controversy with the way that Blizzard handled Mythic Plus going into the War Within. So a lot of people did not play Dragonflight Season 4 for various reasons. They were done with the game. They didn't want to repeat those dungeons again. They don't want to repeat the raids again, whatever. At Dragonflight Season 4, Blizzard changed Mythic Plus and how the keystones are numbered. So you go, all right, instead of running a 2 and then a 4 and then a 7 and then a 10 and then a 15 then a 17 then a 20. No, they bumped it up by 10. So the old 12 was now a 2 and the old 13 was now a 3, which didn't really change much in terms of people who do Mythic Plus regularly. What it affected was people who like to dip a toe into Mythic Plus occasionally and do a few keystones here and there. It really affected that player base. And I feel like, you know, there's so many different ways to categorize WoW players. You have casual, hardcore, you have high-end players and low-end players, you have mole people, you have all sorts of different things that people will look at where they are and where other people are above or below them and try to categorize. In Mythic Plus, it's a really good way to, because it's a numbered system and it goes up and it continues to go up. You have the people who back in Dragonflight Season 2 or 3, they were running 20 and above, right? Your 20 plus crowd. These are going to be your higher end players, the people who are running high dungeons. Yeah, okay, so maybe somebody who's running a 20 is going to look a lot different than somebody who's running a 26. Yeah, that's true. Or somebody who's running a 32. Yes, those are different. But once you get up to a certain point, you are considered a hardcore WoW player. I don't care if you're running a 32 or a 23. That's hard. It's hard content, and not everyone can just jump in and do that. So then you have your middle tier players, people who in Dragonflight Season 2 or 3 were running 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s. Not quite able to get the high stuff, but enough to participate, and they know their class, they know their abilities. Maybe not every single spell that needs to be interrupted or how to counter every single move in the game, but they do know a lot. So yeah, maybe that knowledge isn't quite good enough to get them to the next level, but they're in that middle tier. And then you have your low tier players who, like I said, they wanted to run a 2, they wanted to run a 4, they wanted to do something easy, they wanted to go hang out with their friends. And so that's what the low end Mythic Plus was. Blizzard decided to get rid of that. So Mythic Plus basically starts at mid-core. So the new mid-core, the mid-core is now low tier or whatever. And then there is no mid-core now. You either have low-end players or high-end players. And even people who are running 10s by a lot of players, those are considered low keys because people are running 15, 16, 17s, and those are really hard. And I think that it really shows that the elitism is rampant in the high-end Mythic Plus community, that somebody who's running a 10 is considered low tier, a low tier player. But at the end of the day, this is the choice that Blizzard made. And so it really hit home in the War Within Season 1, where people went to go do their Mythic Plus like they had done 6 months or 8 months before, and they suddenly couldn't do it anymore because now a 2 was basically an 11 or a 12. And that's a huge difference. If you're not used to running anything above a 7 or an 8, and all of a sudden your 2 is now a 12, yeah, that's a rude awakening. You know, some of those people have adapted, and some of those people have not. And I think that overall the community will even out. I don't know that Blizzard is going to add those low tiers back in. They may or they may not, who knows? But I do know that as far as Mythic Plus goes, Mythic Plus is much better now than it was at the launch of the War Within in terms of the how well it's being executed. I think people were really struggling in the beginning. Players are able to go through and they're able to clear keys. There's just not that many of them. There's so many fewer than in the previous seasons. We don't have exact data for every season, but we do know that based on how things have gone, the War Within Season 1 is a little bit lower than maybe people would have liked. But again, you're losing all of those low keys, those low tier players. They're no longer interacting with the system. They're instead doing delves. They're instead just doing world quests, or they've quit playing altogether. So yeah, the numbers are down. And the numbers are down because Blizzard got rid of that low tier. So is that a bad thing? I don't know. It is a thing though, and it's what we are dealing with now, and it's the current world that we occupy. So for better or for worse, that's what it is. All right. Along with the launch of Season 1, we got Delves, which was a new endgame pillar that Blizzard added. Slightly clumsily, I might say. I think Blizzard did a pretty good job of making Delves accessible for tank classes, but anybody else was really struggling, especially early on. The mobs hit hard, really hard. The bosses hit really hard. Unless you have a cooldown ready for you at every opportunity, you're going to struggle on some of those higher delves. And I think Blizzard realized that, and so for Season 2, we're getting Brand's going to have a tank spec, which I think is great. That's something I've been talking about for a long time, is that Brand should have had a tank spec, but that's for whatever reason they decided not to add him in with a tank spec. Most players who do delves want to do them by themselves. They don't want to do them in a group, so they don't want to have to get a tank. So if you're a healer or if you're a melee DPS and you're having a hard time with delves, well, this will really help you. So, and then the raid. So Nerebar Palace is probably one of the best raids that they've done in a long time. I would say it's better than Vault of the Incarnates, which was my favorite raid in Dragonflight. I'd say it's probably easily as good as Castle Nathria. And there's no Stone Legion generals in Nerebar Palace, so that's a big plus for it. So, Queen Ansarek fight was a great fight. It didn't feel contrived in any way. It was just, all right, this is difficult, and now you're going to run across webs, and she's going to one-shot your tank unless you tank swap. I mean, it was really a simplistic arrangement of mechanics done in a very complex way. If you didn't do it just right, you were going to wipe. I like that. I think is really good. I don't like where it's 20 different things going on at once. I hate that. Don't give me 20 things happening at once. Make it really simple. Here's what this phase is. It's go here and stay out of the stuff. And then, you're going to stand in the circle, and then she's going to do a wave, and then somebody has to break the circle at the right moment. That's cool. I like that. That's a good mechanic. The tank swaps are brutal, but I'm working through those with my co-tank, so hopefully we'll get that this week. But overall, really good raid. I really liked Nerebar Palace. All right. October saw the release of the 20th anniversary patch. This was very controversial because, as I talked about earlier, this was not very well received by the player community. The currency acquisition was kind of weird. People just really didn't enjoy the anniversary event the way that I think Blizzard thought they would. Yes, there are still a lot of people over there. Every time I log on and go to the anniversary area, there's a ton of people there. So that's good. Most of the time I'm there to either buy something from the vendor, or I have my army of alts who I've been logging on to periodically to do the trivia question. Which is going to be weird. I have to take them all out of Tannerus now. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We got the return of 6 classic dungeons, sort of. So I talked about this previously, and I really think that it just bothers me. Blizzard did all of this work to create an anniversary event, and they gave us these dungeons, these returning dungeons. They couldn't even be bothered to give us the original versions of those dungeons. We got the Cataclysm version of Dead Mines with the teleporters. Yes, it was the original mobs, but it wasn't the original dungeon. It's like, come on. I know it's a small thing, but it really bothers me. The mobs in the mobs in Scarlet Strat were not the correct mobs. They were the mobs that are in there now, not the mobs that were in there in vanilla. Don't halfway this type of thing. And let's talk about Blackrock Depths for a minute. They took the most iconic dungeon of all time. And I know not everybody likes it, but I'm calling it the most iconic dungeon of all time. They took the most iconic dungeon of all time and turned it into a lackluster raid. Yes, the raid is fun, but the loot is garbage. It was tuned too difficult, so no guilds wanted to do it. It's another example of Blizzard not really understanding what it was that the players would want to have. If you're going to turn Blackrock Depths into a raid, it should be a victory lap. Yes, you can make it hard in heroic mode. That's fine. But don't make it harder than Nerubar Palace and with worse loot. Have it be decent loot at a decent difficulty level. It should be somewhere in between normal and heroic for heroic Blackrock Depths. So if you sorry, that was confusing. Somewhere in between normal Nerubar Palace and heroic Nerubar Palace, you should have Blackrock Depths. That's what I think they should have done. I don't know why they did it the way they did, where it was so hard. I don't know. It's weird to me, and I just don't get it. So anyway, that really bothered me. I ran that raid maybe 2 or 3 times, and that was it. And I said, you know what? This is not worth my time. It's not, and that to me is sad. I ran the time walking more than that, but most of the time it was just because I was leveling somebody up or had an alt or whatever. I didn't really want to run it. Those dungeons are not fun, honestly. They picked some of the worst ones. I don't know. I'm really... I don't want to be sour on Blizzard. They did a lot of work to give us an exciting anniversary event, and it just didn't resonate with the player base. So I would say, good try. Let's maybe work on this a little bit for next time. So, all right. And finally, we have just a couple weeks ago the launch of patch 11.0.7 Siren Isle, where we got a new ring, which was, it launched in a bad state, but it's actually really good now. It's really good now. So if you haven't gotten your ring, make sure you go out there to Siren Isle and pick up your ring and start leveling it up. And if you've missed a week and you didn't get the level up, you'll get your level up item by doing the content there. So yeah, you'll be able to catch back up with everyone else. So that's where we are in Modern WoW. Coming in January, we're going to have Plunderstorm return, which is very exciting. Better rewards this time, or a better reward acquisition method. Still in Arathi Highlands, a lot of people were hoping we would get a new location, but it looks like we're not. Maybe next time it comes back, we'll get a new location. And then probably in February, which is I've been guessing February for a while now, we will see the launch of patch 11.1 Undermined, where we will go to the Goblin capital city of Undermine and trail Xalatath there and see where the story's going to go. So, yeah, Modern WoW's in a really good place. I feel like with the hiccups of the anniversary event aside, even Mythic Plus, I feel like is in a good place right now. I don't enjoy interacting with it as much, but I think that overall, the community that they're trying to reach is doing it and having fun with it. Yeah, it's still frustrating to pug a Mythic Plus, but that's okay. So there we are. That's where World of Warcraft is. I think 2024 was a good year. I think we saw so much content added to the game. A lot of potential for the future. Blizzard has teased a lot of different things. Classic Plus, more hardcore. We've got the 20th anniversary realms are going to move to Burning Crusade at the end of 2025. We've got potentially a Legion remix coming. Oh, I didn't even mention Mop Remix. I forgot to write that down. So, oh, wow. All right. Pretend like I said this earlier. April saw the launch of Miss Pandaria Remix, and oh boy, was that great. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, so Mop Remix was a great addition to the game that they added in. And at first I was like, I don't get it. Like, are we supposed to just be able to run through stuff, or are we supposed to be overpowered? Are we supposed to be underpowered? Like, how is this supposed to work? As time went on, it became more clear, and I think that Blizzard will understand better in the future how to implement something like this. But it started off a little weak, but it gained traction really fast, and people really quickly understood this is what we're supposed to do with this. So I'm hoping that when we do Legion Remix, it'll help bring the lessons learned from all of these different events currency acquisition, timed rollout of content, fixing bugs in a reasonable manner. If we can get all of that to work for Legion Remix, I think that's going to be an event that every WoW player will be able to unite and get on board with. I don't think that people were quite as excited about Mists of Pandaria. Some people were, and the people who played it had a really good time. Being able to go and get all of the transmog from Legion, all of the artifact weapon appearances. I mean, there's so much that you can do with a Legion remix. So anyway, yeah. And I already did do a retrospective of Mists of Pandaria remix. I talked about that quite extensively a few months back. But I will say that that was one of the another one of those things that when it was getting ready to go away, it was a little sad because it was like, oh, I haven't interacted with this as much as I wanted to, but now I'm going to miss it. So, all right. Anyway, I can't believe I missed Mop Remix. Yeah, it's a good year. There's a lot of World of Warcraft, a lot of games, a lot of things that happened. And overall, I'd say this is probably one of the best years that World of Warcraft has ever had. Yeah, there's been good years and there's been some ups and downs throughout, but overall, this has been a really good year. So I hope you had a good year playing World of Warcraft. I hope that you are looking forward to 2025 as much as I am. I think that every year Blizzard gets better. And we just have to remember that Blizzard of old would have taken months to fix some of the issues that we have complained about, and then they fix in 2 days. We are so spoiled now with our complaining to Blizzard. We can pretty much have whatever we want as long as we provide Blizzard with a clear and coherent reason as to why it is that we don't like how they've implemented things. They'll go, oh, you know what? You're right. And they'll fix it in like a day or two. Come on. What timeline are we living in? There was a point in time where Blizzard would tell us, we're sorry, we can't fix that until the next patch. Or we can't fix that until the next expansion. They fix stuff all the time that just, boop, now the game's better. And we need to remember that when we are complaining about how bad Blizzard is and how, oh my God, I can't believe they made the same mistake. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But at least they fix it right away. What do you want? You complained, you said, hey, here's what I need you to fix. And they went, oh, okay, boom, it's fixed now. Why are you complaining? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you just complaining for the sake of complaining? Because if that's the case, then that's fine. I have respect for that. Go for it. Enjoy speaking to the manager. Oh, okay. Well, that's all I wanted to cover. Like I said, this has been a great year. There's been a lot of World of Warcraft. A lot of things that I feel like are going to provide a lot of talking points for the future. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be doing this sort of thing on different YouTube channels and podcasts. And, here's mine. So take it or leave it. All right. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both of those platforms. You can also occasionally catch me streaming on Twitch or YouTube. I am at Denethar01 on both of those platforms. I'm working on I was checking I think it was Restream or something, trying to figure out a way to stream to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Because apparently this is a thing now that you can do. But I haven't quite figured it out yet, so I'll get there, and I'm planning to do quite a bit of streaming in 2025. I've rearranged my desk and my office area so you can see that things are laid out a little bit differently, and so it's going to be a little bit more conducive to me doing some streaming. So look for that coming in the future. You can check out all of the Azeroth United links in our link tree. That's linktr.ee/Azeroth United. It's got our Patreon. It's got our Discord. It's got our Twitter, Blue Sky, all that stuff. It's all in the link tree. You can check all that out there. Send a message, leave a comment, anything that you like or don't like about the show. Please let me know, or leave a comment on the YouTube video if you're watching it there. And yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for us. So remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real person on the other side of that keyboard. And Maybe they forgot Mop Remix too. Maybe they forgot it existed. And they went, oh, that's right. Mop Remix was a thing. And, you know, you can just kind of smile at them and say, it's okay, buddy. You're doing okay. You're going to make it. So, all right. Be good to each other. Take care. I love you all. And I'll see you in Azeroth.